Hi there, I'm Michelle Berry Franco. I know in many of these videos I say to you that it's so critical, essential that we get deeply connected, intimately connected with our ideal audience members. What's on their heart and in their minds? What do they need and want? And I've promised that I would share with you this exercise that I take my one-on-one clients through and my group program clients through. So today is the day. I'm going to share this exercise with you. And I've already got a drawing that we're going to refer to just for the sake of speed. This is a drawing that I created for a talk I was doing probably a year ago. So you'll see the elements in here. It can be as dramatic or even as quickly done as you'd like. This one is probably in between. So I'm going to talk you through it. Now, one of the things, side note, that you should know is anytime you give something visual to your audience, which is what I'm doing right now, they're not listening to what you're saying. So you may not be listening yet. You might be attending now. So just know that, and I know that you're doing that. So if you'll come with me here, I'll talk you through different sections of this. There are really three parts to this audience analysis exercise. Number one starts with who is she or he? And that is really from what does she look like and what is she wearing? That's where we start. And it may seem superficial, but all of these things work together for us to get connected. It's a visual connection for us with our ideal audience member. So in this case, she's wearing pants. I might have colored her top, her favorite color, just to kind of connect with her from that perspective. In this case, she has longer curly hair but it doesn't really matter, except you draw who your ideal audience member is. This is also an example for you to see that you don't have to be a great artist. Look, I'm definitely not an artist, right? I've drawn a lot of these ideal audience members and a lot of them end up kind of having some similar characteristics, but it's not about the drawing or the artistry of it. There's a lot of power in visuals. There's power in the process of drawing while we're thinking. There's a lot of research about this. So it's useful in that way too. So anyway, who is she? And what is she wearing? And then the second question is, what is her life like? Give her or him some context. So in this case, she speaks to a lot of audiences. This was an ideal audience member for me for a particular talk about a year ago. So things have changed for me a little bit. But at that time, this was right. She's, looking for audiences, often in front of audiences. She also is at home. She works from home. I remember that was part of it. But she's always looking at the clock. So I had a clock in there. You can have a clock up here if she's really always looking at it. You might have a calendar with lots of dates filled in. Because she has a very busy schedule. You might have kids in the picture or toys or laundry, depending on your scenario, or your ideal audience member scenario. Give her some context. And then the third thing is, what is she thinking? So what is on her heart and mind, but it'll show up in thought bubbles. And that's where you put these thought bubbles in. Now, two things to remember about this. These thought bubbles are in her words, and they are written in the way that she would say them. Okay, so this is an important nuance, because when I'm doing this with clients, oftentimes they will give me the conceptual answer. They might say, well, she's overwhelmed. So I might be able to write, I'm overwhelmed, and that would be accurate. You might want to say, I am unbelievably overwhelmed. You might want to say, I can't handle this anymore. Right? So what are the actual thoughts in her head? Start with the ones that come to you first. Then ask yourself, what are the thoughts she's thinking at 3 o'clock in the morning? What are the things she's whispering to her best friend when she's at her lowest point, especially about the thing that you help her solve? All of those go into these thought bubbles. Some examples we have here, ugh, I know I can do this. How? She just wants to know how. What are other people doing that works? She wants to know that. How do I rise up above all the noise out there in the world on her topic area? So what are some of her thoughts? Is my message clear enough? That's what a lot of my clients are asking. So anyway, this is how you can do it. There are three parts to it. First, who is she, just from kind of an external perspective? Draw her or him so that you get a visual connection that this is your ideal audience member. And then, what is her or his life like? And give some context. And then third, what is he or she thinking, thinking and feeling, and put those in thought bubbles. Leave this up for a while. Keep walking back by it and adding thought bubbles, adding context. You can really flesh this out. I have a lot of clients who leave it up in their office so they regularly connect with their ideal audience member. When you're writing for them, when you're, of course, crafting talks, when you're working on your website or web copy, it's a really powerful tool. Okay, and now you have it. Ta-da! Draw thinking your ideal audience member. Okay, I'll see you next week.